Thanks for joining me for an exciting 3-day trip to Paris. Welcome to Dallas-Fort Worth International Airport. We're arriving curbside at Terminal D, ready for an unforgettable journey to the City of Lights aboard Air France Boeing 787 in business class. Step inside the sleek International Terminal D. After a quick check-in at the Air France counter, I'll breeze through security and explore the vibrant shops and lounges as we make our way to the gate area just in time for my flight. Here she is, the stunning Air France Boeing 787, simply known as the Dreamliner. After a short wait at the gate, it's time to board and settle in for a nice, comfortable flight across the Atlantic. Once we push back from the gate, taxi, and just like that, we are airborne, leaving Dallas behind in the window as we climb eastward toward Paris and Charles de Gaulle Airport. Bon voyage. The adventure awaits. Meals and service on board Air France is outstanding, as one would expect from an airline known for its hospitality and style. And after taking a short nap, we are arriving in Paris for 3 days filled with business and sporting pleasure. Paris, the city of lights, romance, art, and exercise. Paris effortlessly blends timeless romance with cutting-edge style. Stroll along the Seine as the Eiffel Tower sparkles at dusk, lose yourself in the masterpieces of the Louvre, then sip a café crème at a sidewalk terrace in Montmartre while watching street artists at work. From the majestic Notre Dame and the charming cobblestone streets of Le Marais to the grand boulevards lined with Haussmann architecture and hidden passages, every corner feels like a scene from a film. Indulge in buttery croissants for breakfast, world-class cuisine for dinner, and macarons whenever the mood strikes. Whether you're here for iconic landmarks, fashion, art, history, or simply the joy of people, watching with a glass of wine in hand, Paris will steal your heart, and you'll happily let it. Bienvenue à Paris. Your love affair with the city starts now. Have you ever wanted to get in a couple of days of exercise while in Paris, France, especially after consuming all the wonderful desserts and champagnes? Well, you've landed on the right video. I'm going to share with you how to spend 2 sporty days in Paris. Paris might not be the first city that springs to mind when you're looking for a sports-friendly vacation, but the capital of romance is teeming with things to do and see for athletes and sports fans alike. Paris Saint-Germain is the most famous team that calls the city home, but sports experiences in Paris aren't limited to football clubs or soccer for us Americans. The city is packed with stadiums, venues, and places to get out and play, both for weekend warriors joining the action and for fans who want to watch the best professionals do their thing. Whether you're looking for a running tour, road biking with a group, pickup hoops, Olympic-sized pools, or a sports bar, Paris is an incredible weekend destination for you sports fans. Here's a few things you'll want to know before you jet off. Temperatures in Paris are famously irregular. It could be 70 degrees for 3 straight weeks in July, and then blazing in August, and November could be bone dry or filled with rain. Getting around. Both Charles de Gaulle and Orly are equally accessible, connected to the city's train system and public transit, and there are also plenty of taxis to hail. Uber is also available, which I highly recommend. The Paris vibe has a reputation for being a little stuffy, and you may hear stories about Parisians seeming rude, but honestly, a lot of that comes down to how visitors move through the city. Don't be too loud, don't be too pushy, and don't expect an average citizen to go out of their way to accommodate you. Paris is a gorgeous, vibrant city that can offer anything and everything as long as you're conscientious and respectful. And most Parisians I've encountered can speak and understand English, but again, be patient. If this is your first time visiting Paris, or maybe just looking for recommendation on accommodations, I can help with that. First, the Élysées Hotel is a budget-friendly hotel that might lack in high-end amenities. However, it more than makes up for in terms of location and budget. It's an exceedingly walkable area, even by Parisian standards. And the Arc de Triomphe can be reached on foot in 17 minutes flat. Give or take, rooms are small but manageable for 2, and the hotel staff is beyond gracious and accommodating. Next on my list is the Crown Plaza, located immediately on the Place de la République, which makes catching Ubers, taxis, the train, or any other form of transportation easy. Restaurants and theaters abound, and it's just about as centrally located as you can get. And finally, my favorite, the St. James may be a little outside of the heart of Paris, but it's well worth the trade-off for travelers who want the ultimate in comfort and service, and who aren't necessarily spending a lot of time surrounded by tourist attractions in the first place. The luxury hotel is also just down the street from the Stade Roland-Garros, the home of the French Open tennis tournament. Day 1. It's croissants and sneakers kind of morning. Open yourself up to all that Paris can offer for breakfast. Any brasserie you pass will have coffee and croissants that are better than anything stateside, and the atmosphere helps. And Paris, of course, boasts countless sit-down options. Love Juice Bar, 46 and 3rd, and Happy Cafe are some of my favorite brunch spots in the city. And if the day is beautiful, and, in Paris, they so often are, it's almost criminal to not walk or run the banks of the Seine. The jaunt will take you through parts of the city that can only be described as iconic, including through Tuileries, Champs-Élysées, Jardin de Trocadero, Champ de Mars, and Invalides, and quite a few stretches have been converted to pedestrian-only paths in recent years. Spend the midday with an unmatched shopping scene only Paris can extend to sports gear and sneakers. While the city boasts a handful of footlockers that always seem to have limited-release kicks, there are plenty of other spots that are worth your time, and the Forum des Halles Mall on 101 Port Berger is an excellent place to start. Inside the mall proper, you can find any big box store you might expect, but the area immediately surrounding the mall is full of local shops, gear, fit. A great spot for sneakers, and you can also walk onwards to Shinzo, which boasts 2 floors of sneakers, jerseys, basketballs, soccer balls, and more basketball fans. Make sure to stop in at Basket 4 Baller, another multi-level shopping hub packed with NBA and WNBA gear. It's also worth it for sports gearheads to brave the Champs-Élysées and visit the Nike House of Innovation, where you can peruse several floors of t-shirts, athletic gear, and, of course, sneakers, and even design your own footwear in-house. Life moves differently in Paris once the sun goes down. However, that doesn't always mean the sports enthusiast or athletic traveler has to end his or her day. A 2-day sports trip to Paris means there's at least one night free for a game basketball fans, especially those who like the San Antonio Spurs, might be interested in checking out a game at the Palais des Sports Marcel Cerdan, where a young Victor Wembanyama once played for Metropolitans 92 before he was drafted into the NBA. Paris is also home to some of the most famous sports events in the world. The French Open, of course, and also the Tour de France, which winds its way through the heart of the city every July and is easy to watch from the street side. The Prix de l'Arc de Triomphe, as well as NBA Paris games held each year in January, and also esports events like the Street Fighter tournament, Red Bull Kumite. On top of those events, there are plenty of local clubs and professional teams in Paris playing games, like Paris Saint-Germain. Let's start day 2 off with street ball and the Palais morning. If you're looking for an American-style hearty breakfast, the aptly named Breakfast in America offers all the diner classics. Omelets, scrambled eggs, bacon on bacon, and unlimited coffee. Each outpost, there are now 3 in the city, is decorated with posters and framed photos of American singers, performers, actors, and heroes. While it might seem silly to travel all the way to Paris just to eat American diner food, this is a great version, and sometimes it just hits the spot. The grounds of the Patinoire de Boulogne-Billancourt ice skating rink were used for ice skating from the time of Emperor Napoleon III in the mid-1800s. However, in late 2024, the rink closed and was replaced this year by the opening of a facility for a growing sport. Paddle good news, though. There are now 7 paddle courts available to rent at Boulogne-Billancourt within a luxurious new club. If you're looking for something to do on your second midday afternoon, here's an idea. How about running the Seine? It's one way to see a lot of the city, but if you want to expand your range while staying active, renting a bicycle is another great option, and it's a lot of fun. Like many major cities, Paris makes it easy with several apps available that offer electric bike rentals, as well as local services like Vélib' Métropole. The city is covered in bike lanes that traverse all the major roadways, and while the Seine is an ideal spot for such a trip, Alternate routes include Montmartre to Saint-Denis and throughout central Paris, which will conveniently take you by theaters, bookstores, and plenty of places to shop. As daylight falls into nighttime, the phrases Paris, France, and sports bar might not feel intuitively connected to every mind, but Parisians love to gather in pubs with TVs blasting sports just like the rest of us. Of those, the new players might be the best, with 30 TVs, plenty of comfy couches, and, of course, along with a slightly overpriced drink and food menu. But hey, it's Paris after all. But there's no shortage of sports coverage from open to close. We are going for a long 3-day stay. So I recommend all of the above I've covered so far. But let's add this to the itinerary. Swing by and check out Le Cardinal, a local French restaurant with a delicious menu. It's also conveniently located near the Galeries Lafayette, in case you're looking for gifts for friends back home. Now is the time to take a minute to be a slightly odd but corny tourist. Bite the bullet and take one of the riverboat tours down the Seine. It's obvious it's a little goofy, but it really is a lovely experience that will show you the city from a unique angle. And it will be fun. We visited Aleno on my most recent visit to Paris and were completely blown away by our experience there. We made reservations well in advance and chose the 9-course meal with wine pairing for all 3 of us. We arrived right as they opened and were greeted by their wonderful reception staff. After taking a short break at the waiting area, we were escorted upstairs to our table. We really liked the decorations of the restaurant. The food was fantastic. As was the service, which is what we would expect from a restaurant with 3 Michelin stars. They had some rather unique and creative dishes, and along with the paired wines, were just right. I was actually surprised that one of their paired wines was one of my favorites that I initially experienced at another Michelin star restaurant in Washington, D.C. I've dined at a few star Michelin restaurants in a few countries, and I felt my experience at Aleno was definitely near the top. If you haven't dined here, then you should definitely consider this place on your next visit to Paris. Traveling to Paris is like stepping into a postcard. You get to wander charming streets, sip coffee at quaint cafes, and marvel at iconic landmarks like the Eiffel Tower and Notre Dame. The city's mix of rich history, culture, and amazing food scene makes every moment unforgettable and incredibly energetic for the athletic-minded person. And let's face it, Paris is so incredibly photogenic any time of the year. After 3 magical and fun-filled days in the City of Light, I'm still astonished at the soul-touching, romantic beauty Paris is known for. From that first morning run along the Seine with the Eiffel Tower glowing in the sunrise, to pedaling through the perfectly manicured paths of Luxembourg Gardens, soaking up the sun and that classic Parisian vibe. We walked, ran, and biked miles, climbed stairs, danced through the streets, and yes, even managed a few extra croissants without too much guilt. Paris has a way of making every step feel like exercise for the mind, body, and soul. And those golden hour moments, they're the ones I'll carry forever. If you're dreaming of Paris, just go. Lace up your shoes, bring your appetite, and let this beautiful city move you, literally and figuratively. Merci beaucoup for joining me on this little adventure. I truly hope you loved it, and I'll drop a few Paris street art photos to excite your imagination as we leave for the airport and say our goodbyes. Until the next city calls, à bientôt, Paris. Thank you, and safe travels, everyone. And remember, I love ya. Today, it's back to Charles de Gaulle Airport for our flight back home. We'll be flying Delta today on board one of their older Airbus A350-900. First, after checking into the business counter, I'll make my way through the French security check. Then it's the passport control, and to catch the people mover train, the French simply call Lisa, to M, Hall or Terminal Gate 26. Sit back and enjoy the ambient sounds of the airport and flight.
For your safety.
Before reaching the gate, I have time to stop and check out the Air France Business Lounge and grab a bottle of water. Boarding will begin soon. But first, let's take a look at this beautiful Delta A350. This is the older version cube-style configuration, just as comfortable for the ride back home.
Jackson International Airport. As you're locating your assigned seats, please place small items underneath the seat in front of you to provide more room.
After pushback and engine start, we'll soon be taxiing out to the runway. For what seemed like a very long taxi out to the runway, we'll be taking off shortly. After takeoff and a nice smooth 9.5-hour flight, we are welcomed back to Atlanta with a beautiful orange sky as the sun sets. We can easily spot downtown Atlanta, there on the horizon through the haze.
couleurs.
Welcome to Atlanta's Hartsfield-Jackson International Airport. Local time is 7:03 p.m. There's been a 6-hour time change. Please stay seated with your seatbelts fastened. Carry-on items stowed to the captain's turn to seatbelt sign off. Please be careful when opening the overhead bins to avoid injury from items that may have shifted during flight. Please ensure
Thanks for joining me, and thanks for watching. See ya.